What if the biggest weapon ever used against us wasn't a missile, a virus, or a cyber attack, but actually a narrative? A story repeated so many times that people stopped questioning it and just started accepting it as how things are now. And what if the biggest lie was just three words that we've been trained to believe from the time we could walk, we the people? Because if you actually look around, really look, who does this government actually put first? Is it the American people? Or is it foreign interests, foreign wars, economies, foreign governments, global institutions, multinational corporations, lobbyists, donors, and banks? If we're honest, the average American is somewhere between 7th and 9th place on the priority list. So today, we're going to talk about the cure, America first, not the meme version, not the partisan version, and certainly not the media's fear-mongering version. We'll talk about the real version, the historical version, the bipartisan version, the common sense version. We're going to unpack why half of America fears it, why the media attacks it, why DC fights it, and why it's the only pathway to get this country off of life support and back on its feet again. It's not about yelling. It's not about MAGA. It's just a simple conversation, two adults sharing a drink, talking honestly about how we fix the country we love. So take a break, settle in. We're not preaching today. We're sharpening. Let's get unfiltered.
This is not noise. This is not outrage. This is conviction. We believe in faith. We believe in family. We believe in this country and the people who built it. Here, we challenge narratives, not individuals. We confront issues with truth, respect, and courage. These are serious conversations, rooted in principle, guided by tradition, and focused on the future. Welcome to What If Unfiltered. This is more than a show. This is a movement.
Hey everybody, thanks for joining us today. We're going to do a deep dive into America first. So we can discuss how we get back on track by simply taking care of our people, our businesses, our values and traditions. So let's get started. To do so, we have to address the elephant in the room. When you say America first, the reactions start to fly. They'll say that's racist, that's extreme, that's MAGA, that's isolationalist, it's dangerous, selfish, it's nationalism that leads to dictators. My college professor said it's fascism. Okay, Chad, calm down. The reactions come fast because the conditions run deep. Most people who fear America first never actually think about the doctrine. They fear the image that's been handed to them by cable news, partisan media, activist teachers, social platforms, political consultants, and even late-night talk show hosts who somehow became moral authorities just because they wear skinny ties. Here's the truth nobody wants to say out loud. People don't fear America first because it's extreme. They fear it because it threatens the people in power. America first isn't dangerous. It's disruptive. It breaks the algorithm. It shifts the power struggle. It puts citizens above donors, corporations, and foreign government. And that's why it's demonized. Not because it's racist, not because it's hateful, not because it's isolationist, but because it takes power away from the elite class and gives it back to the American people. And nothing terrifies DC more than an empowered citizen. So let's do something politicians never do. We're going to let the opposing side speak respectfully before we discuss why we believe America first is the cure to America's divide. Here's what our research has addressed as the top 10 dissenting points. America first is isolationalist. meaning if we focus on ourselves, the world collapses. Then we have America first is selfish. We have a moral duty to help everybody else. Then it's America first is dangerous. It empowers dictators if we pull back globally. Of course, we have America first is racist, the coded language for white nationalism. Then America first hurts global stability, meaning without U.S. intervention, chaos rises. Sovereignty is outdated. We're in a global economy now. Then we have America first ignores humanitarian needs. We should help refugees, even if it means it strains us. If we don't fight them there, we'll have to fight them here, meaning the world is safer when Americans fight overseas. America first abandons allies. Real friends don't walk away. And then finally, we the people do matter. We vote. As if voting is proof of actual power. All right, that's their rebuttals. Now let's talk honestly about where these arguments come from. Because the arguments sound reasonable until you think about them a little bit. None of the objections come from stupidity, I don't think. They come from fear, misinformation, emotional conditioning, social pressure, media repetition, academic indoctrination, and people who legitimately want to do the right thing, but they haven't looked at the consequences. When you hear America should help the poor countries, that sounds compassionate. When you hear we shouldn't abandon allies, sounds noble. And when you hear America must lead the world, that sounds responsible. But compassion without logic is not morality, it's manipulation. Nobility without boundaries, it's not virtue, it's exploitation. And leadership without strength is not leadership, it's delusional. So what we're going to do next is simple. We'll take each argument respectfully and walk straight through it with reality. No yelling, no rage, just clarity. Because clarity is contagious. And once you see the truth, you really can't unsee it. So they've made their case. Let's walk through this like adults. And we'll do something Washington avoids, like honesty. We'll go point by point, calmly, logically, and then we're going to ask a simple question about each objection. Does this actually make sense? Or does it just sound good? Sound nice? Because a lot of things sound noble until you think about them for 12 seconds. Let's break these down one at a time. We'll start with America first is isolationist, which means if America doesn't fix every global problem, the world ends. So here's my rebuttal to this. Personally, I think America is the least isolationist country on earth. We have 750 military bases worldwide. We have troops in 70 countries. We spend billions each year in foreign aid. We have defense guarantees for entire regions. We have treaties, alliances, and security pacts. We have NGO influence everywhere. We even have global supply chain commitments, humanitarian missions, and intelligence networks across all continents. Isolationists, we're practically the world's helicopter parent. And here's the real logic. America first isn't isolation, it's prioritization. Isolation is, good luck world, we're out. America first is, we fix our home before rebuilding yours. If your house is on fire, you wouldn't sprint across the street to fix your neighbor's garage, would you? No, you get your kids out before you grab someone else's toolbox. America first isn't isolationist, it's responsible. Their second argument was America first is selfish. If we translate that, we should help everyone, even while Americans are struggling. Let me put this simply. There's a difference between being selfish and being a disciplinary adult. Parents take care of their own kids first. Businesses pay their employees first. And pilots put oxygen masks on themselves first. It's not selfish, it's functional. Meanwhile, America has $38 trillion in debt. We can't secure our own border. We can't keep our cities safe. Our schools are collapsing. We can't even house our veterans. And we can't keep our grid stable, but somehow we're morally obligated to fund internal budgets of foreign countries. That's not compassion, it's insanity. Let's check in with how other countries handle illegal immigration. Illegal immigration, including assisting or organizing illegal immigration in places like Russia, punishable by 2 years in a labor camp. That doesn't sound fun. India, 8 years in prison. Singapore, 6 months in prison. China, 1 year in prison. Mexico, who sends everybody to us, 2 years in prison. And Italy, up to 5 years in prison. And all of them ultimately deport them out of the country. Why is it okay for most, if not all, other countries to have laws and deport people, or worse, anyone in their country, but if America does it, we're racist, inhumane, evil? Helping others is noble, but destroying yourself in the process isn't noble, it's negligent. Their third argument is America first is dangerous and empowers dictators. So what they're saying is if America stops policing the world, the bad guys win. Let's check the scoreboard. China's stronger. Russia attacked Ukraine. Iran is still dangerous. North Korea is more reckless, shooting missiles all over the ocean. And terror cells have scattered globally, all while on our watch, while we're policing the entire world. Dictators didn't rise because we stepped back. They rose because we were unfocused, overextended, and internally weak. Weakness is not America first. It emboldens our enemies. Strong America equals safer world. It's that simple. America first strengthens America, and strength builds stability. The argument of last resort. America first is racist. Translation, loving your own country is offensive. And this one, honestly, it makes me laugh. Putting your own country first is racist now? I thought racism was based on ethnicity. Japan, France, Israel, China, Canada, every nation on earth puts itself first openly. And nobody screams supremacy. Only in America does patriotism require a warning label. America first is not about race. It's about citizenship and responsibility. All Americans should be on board with this because the only qualification to receiving benefits of America first and its principles is that you're American. There's zero exclusions due to race, sex, sexual orientation, religious beliefs, political affiliation, or whether you're an asshole or not. You just need to be American. Who in their right mind would want anyone or anything coming before America? I'll tell you who. Foreigners or people that hate America. And I would argue all the more reason to get behind America first. A government should prioritize the people who pay the fucking bills. Not complicated, not dangerous, not hateful, just normal. Another argument was America first hurts global stability. Translation, the world needs America weak to feel safe. This is where the logic just completely leaves the building. Weak America equals global chaos. Strong America, global order. You think China acts this way if America is strong, united, and economically dominated? You think Russia rolls tanks if America projects real power instead of press releases? Do you think Iran plays games if America is feared instead of mocked? No, they behave this way because America became distracted, divided, and broke. America first recenters our strength, and a strong America is good for everyone, except tyrants. Sovereignty is outdated in a global economy. I guess you could translate that into, let's depend on China because it's modern. This one's hilarious because every country on earth except the US guards its sovereignty like a pit bull. China's sovereign, Japan is sovereign, Israel's sovereign, India, Mexico, Brazil, all sovereign. But America, well, apparently we're supposed to be the only country that leaves the front door wide open because globalization. Let me break down the benefits of a sovereign nation. A sovereign nation controls its borders, controls its energy. It controls its manufacturing. A sovereign nation controls its minerals. It controls its supply chains. A sovereign nation controls its defense. Right now, we control none of that. We depend on China, Canada, OPEC, Mexico, Russia, Southeast Asia. And then we get shocked when these countries leverage it. Global economy, sure. Global dependency, fuck no. America First ignores humanitarian duty. We should take care of everyone else while our own citizens suffer. So let's talk compassion, like real compassion, because I believe real compassion starts at home. If your parents need medical care, if your spouse is sick, if your kids are hungry, you don't empty your bank account to help a stranger across the world. You help your family first. Not because others don't matter, but because you can't help anyone if you collapse first. America doesn't reject humanitarianism. It prioritizes competence before charity. Humanitarianism built on debt isn't compassion, it's collapse in slow motion, and that's the path we're on right now. Argument 8, if we don't fight them there, we'll fight them here. Translation would be, ignore the border and worry about someone else's. Here's a little dose of common sense. We're told we have to fight our enemies overseas so they don't come here, while millions of people we cannot identify are literally walking across our border every year. Known criminals, cartel pipelines, terror watch list hits, unprocessed asylum seekers, gotaways, unknown unknowns. We can fight them there all day long, but if here is wide open, the whole argument collapses. America First isn't against defending America abroad. It just believes we should defend America in America too. America First abandons allies. Translation, supporting allies equals writing blank checks forever. No, supporting allies means partnership, shared responsibility, shared sacrifice, shared cost, mutual benefit. How about respect? No unlimited loyalty without accountability. Let's make this clear. America First supports his allies who support America, not countries who insult us one day and then cash our checks the next, not countries who demand billions while doing nothing to strengthen the alliance. We want friends and partners, not dependents. We the people do matter. You get to vote. So translation, you choose between two candidates that the donors pick for us. Or a party bypasses the primary process, disagrees and cancels your vote, and then places their best option in the race. Voting is necessary, but let's stop pretending it's enough. If corporations fund both sides, if media shapes your perception, if agencies censor information, if social platforms silence dissent, primaries are rigged, donors pick winners, officials ignore voters, and bureaucrats override elected leaders, then no, you don't have meaningful power. You have participation. America First restores actual representation, not this theater that we're living in now. All right, let's take a breather. We'll be right back. Hey everyone, it's Mike. I just wanted to have a heart-to-heart with you. This podcast, this movement, it only goes as far as you take us. I need you to stay involved. I need you to share it. I need you to let everyone know about it. Even if you didn't like it, share it with them anyways. They probably have better taste than you do anyways. At least that's what I'm hoping for. But in all seriousness, share it. Follow us, engage with us, send us an email at info@whatifunfiltered.com and tell us what we're doing right. Tell us what we're doing wrong. Challenge us, ask better questions, engage with us, though, and maybe I'll wind up using that email in one of the episodes or on a short, but we need you, and we can't do this without you, so engage, follow, share, subscribe. It costs less than 23 cents a day, and I really appreciate all of you being here, and why don't we do this together and take this thing to the next level and get our country back, all right? Thanks, everybody. Okay, we're back. Let's settle in for this part because this is usually where things go sideways. You say America first, and people either clap without thinking or panic without listening. And neither one is helpful. So let's do this the old way. Picture two guys sitting at a bar. No stage, no script, no social media audience waiting to be offended. And then one of them takes a sip, shakes his head, and says, I keep hearing that America first is dangerous. But nobody ever explains why it was normal for decades and suddenly became extreme. That's not a gotcha question. It's a reasonable one. But America first, it didn't start with Trump. And pretending that it did is intellectually dishonest. And this part matters. And it deserves more than a drive-by mention. America First didn't begin in 2015. Like I said, it didn't begin with Trump. It didn't begin with a red hat or a rally chant. It existed long before political parties looked anything like they do today. And for most of the 20th century, Democrats openly ran on it. FDR didn't apologize for prioritizing American workers. The New Deal was about domestic recovery, American jobs, American infrastructure, American industry. And JFK didn't mince words when he said this country couldn't afford to be second. He wasn't talking about vibes. He was talking about strength built at home. LBJ, he poured money into highways, schools, housing, not because he hated the world, but because he understood something very basic. A nation that isn't strong internally can't lead externally. But here's my favorite one, especially since he thinks he's the voice of reason and accomplishment. Even Barack Obama, and this makes people extremely uncomfortable, he pushed Made in America, energy independence, and reshoring, aka offshoring manufacturing. And at the time, nobody called that fascism. You know what they called it? Governing. So you got to ask yourself, what changed? The policies didn't. The person did. And that's where Trump derangement syndrome enters the picture. But this isn't about defending Trump. It's about exposing a media trick that the media pulls, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. You see, they didn't debate America first on the merits. They attached it to a personality, then taught people to emotionally reject the person so they'd never have to evaluate the idea. That's not journalism. That's narrative control. It's bullshit. So now ideas that were bipartisan for decades are treated as extremism, not because they changed, but because Trump said them out loud and without their permission. And that should bother you, no matter where you fall politically. Because once ideas are delegitimized by association, no idea is safe, even the ones they believed in, if it's not their person in office. And this is where trust erodes away and division grows. America first means Americans come first. And that used to be uncontroversial. So let's try and bring this back to the basics. America first means Americans come first. And your race, your religion, your political affiliation, or even your sexual preference does not exclude you. There's only one qualifier. You're a legal American citizen. Well, I guess in today's world of chaos, that would be two qualifications. You just can't make this shit up. Americans first is immediate and it's non-negotiable. It's not eventually, it's not when budgets allow, and it's not after we fix everyone else's problems. It's veterans before foreign governments. It's homeless Americans before illegal immigrants. It's American children before foreign children. American students before foreign students. American workers before foreign labor markets. And American borders before foreign interests. That's not cruelty. It's responsibility. Every functional family works this way. Every functional business works this way. And every functional country must work this way. Because if your government doesn't prioritize its own people, it's not compassionate. It's negligent. Fixing our house first is not isolationism, it's common sense. But this is where people start getting antsy. So let's walk this through slowly. America has real problems. An outdated and fragile power grid, cities that feel unsafe, a drug crisis that's hollowing out communities, homelessness that's become permanent, schools failing kids, infrastructure crumbling down, and debt, debt no one wants to talk about, honestly. Now, here's the part, though, that doesn't make any sense. Instead of fixing those things, Washington chooses to keep funding foreign wars, rebuilding foreign countries, and lecturing the world. It's not leadership. It's avoidance. I mean, you don't ignore a leaking roof and start remodeling your neighbor's kitchen. You don't do that. America First says, fix the foundation first, then engage the world from strength. That's not isolation. It's adulthood. And economic independence, it's not optional. Actually, it's national security. This is where the conversation usually gets quiet because you can't defend it. Because America depends on foreign nations for rare earth minerals, antibiotics, electronics, energy components, and manufacturing supply chains. I mean, if China wanted to cripple the US economy tomorrow, they wouldn't need tanks. They would just stop shipping. That's not sovereignty. That's vulnerability. It's political incompetence. America First means drill here, mine here, refine here, manufacture here, build here, employ Americans here, not because we hate the world, but because a country that can't supply itself, it can't protect itself. And free trade sounds nice, but it's fair trade that actually works. Free trade became one of those phrases that sounds virtuous until you follow the consequences. Don't you remember growing up, your parents telling you that nothing in life is ever free? Somewhere along the way, our politicians didn't get the memo. Because what free trade actually turned out to be is American factories closed. Jobs shipped overseas, wages suppressed, communities hollowed out. And to make matters worse, we were sold that this was progress. But it makes me wonder, what's your definition of progress? And progress for who? Fair trade is different. Fair trade says you don't exploit American labor. You don't undercut American wages. You don't reward countries that cheat, steal IP, or manipulate currency. Fair trade, on the other hand, protects jobs, careers, wages, and the ability to actually build a life, which brings us straight into a problem that's hitting young Americans hard. Why, you ask? Well, because they no longer see themselves winning. They no longer see themselves living the American dream. Why? Because they went to college, they got the grades, they did the work, they kept their end of the bargain. And what did we do? We fucked them. The A1 visa system is pricing Americans out of their future. And this doesn't get talked about enough. American students are being pushed aside for foreign labor. And not because they're less capable. No, because they're cheaper. And I don't give a shit what Silicon Valley says. They're not any smarter. Our kids rock. Corporations use visa programs to suppress wages. Young Americans get locked out of their career paths. Home ownership gets delayed. Marriage gets delayed. Families don't form. And why does that matter? Because women today are not having babies at the rate necessary to outpace immigration. And you ask yourself, why does that matter? Because our traditions, our cultures, our beliefs, they're being replaced by foreign cultures, foreign beliefs, and foreign traditions. And many of those, they're simply not compatible with Christianity. Then politicians, they act surprised that young people feel hopeless. America First means American students get first shot at jobs. You don't tell your own kids to compete harder while importing cheaper replacements. It's not opportunity. It's fucking betrayal. America First means our leaders answer to America, not the world. Here's a question that used to have an obvious answer, at least when I was growing up. At least I thought so. Who do our politicians work for? America First means no foreign money in American politics. None. Zero. Not a dime. Not from foreign governments, foreign corporations, foreign-controlled NGOs, and not from shell companies pretending to be global partners. If you're shaping American law, your loyalty doesn't get to be international. That's not radical. That's conflict of interest logic. And once foreign money is allowed, both parties, they get addicted to it. That's exactly how we end up with a permanent political class that survives, no matter how badly things go for everyone else. It's insane. Public office is a position of loyalty. It's not a career move. This part really makes people uncomfortable, but it shouldn't. No non-US born citizen should ever hold public office. And I don't care what level it's at. I don't care if it's city, state, county, federal. This isn't about race or ethnicity. It's about allegiance. Public office shouldn't be a resume builder. It's a position of trust over a sovereign nation. And you don't get to write the rules of a country you weren't born into the consequences of. Every serious nation understands this. America pretending it's controversial, it's an aberration. Because one nation under God has to mean one allegiance. You cannot serve two masters. You can't hold two national loyalties and pretend they don't conflict. One nation under God is not poetry. It's a standard. If you come here legally, welcome. If you become a citizen, great. But when you do, America is the nation. America is the loyalty. And America is the home you defend. No backup countries, no dual allegiances, no hedging of bets. A nation can't survive if citizen is treated like a subscription plan. Let's chat about free speech, the First Amendment, and where the line belongs. The First Amendment matters deeply. But here's the inconsistency. We have states that are rushing to restrict speech that protects foreign interests while allowing the American flag, the core symbol of our identity, to be burned in public. If the First Amendment is to ever be pierced at all, and that's a massive if, the first protection should be to America itself. This isn't about silencing dissent. You can criticize America. You can protest policy. But destroying the symbol of a nation, that's not debate. It's contempt. It's pure hatred, and it's completely fucking disrespectful to the brave men and women who paid the ultimate sacrifice. A country that refuses to defend its own symbols slowly teaches its people that the country itself isn't worth respecting. America First wants legal immigration, but with commitment, not chaos. Immigration is not the enemy. Chaos is the enemy. America First immigration means legal, controlled, enforced, sustainable, assimilated, and committed. If you come here, you commit here. One nation, one law, one civic identity. American standards, American beliefs, America only. You left your home for a reason to come here. You either assimilate or don't come. And if you're here, leave. When immigration outpaces assimilation, cohesion erodes, trust declines, cities fragment. A pause gives the country room to rebuild integration, strengthen civic education, and restore social trust. Assimilation isn't cruelty, it's cohesion. Fiscal discipline is not cruelty. It's competence. I know we're not used to that, but that's what it is. But uncontrolled immigration drives unplanned spending, emergency healthcare, housing subsidies, court backlogs, strain local services. Pause in immigration allows for predictable budgeting, targeted resource allocation, and better outcomes for citizens and legal residents alike. You can't manage what you refuse to enforce. It just doesn't work that way. America First is not about closing doors forever. It's about restoring order, reinforcing unity, and reopening from a position of strength. And history shows that nations that pause to consolidate don't weaken, they stabilize. And a country that respects its borders, its laws, and its people is better positioned to move forward together. Strong nations don't grow by volume. They grow by continuity. Let's shift gears. Let's talk about energy dominance. Energy dominance simply is the engine under everything. Energy isn't just economic. It's security. It's cost of living. It's military readiness. Oil, gas, nuclear, refining, pipelines, next-gen tech, built here by Americans for Americans. Dependency dressed up as virtue, still dependency. And that's why we need a strong military for peace, not permanent wars. Peace through strength works. It's been proven. And strength means deterrence, readiness, modern equipment. It means cyber capabilities, energy independence, and clear objectives. We defend America first. We defend allies who stand with us, not those that refuse to clap for us at the United Nations. And then the next day, cash our checks. We want true partnership, but with shared responsibilities. We do not act as the world's permanent security contractor. That's not our job. It's not our responsibility. But this is why we the people has to mean something again. This is the core of it all. America First is how we the people stops being decorative language and becomes real again. Citizens before donors, votes before lobbyists, America before globalism, truth before false narratives, and accountability before excuses. This isn't extreme. It's how self-government is supposed to work. Same bar, same stools, same country. The only real question left is whether we still have the courage to say what's obvious, calmly, clearly, and without a fucking apology. You know what's interesting is, up to this point, everything we've talked about still lives in the world of ideas, principles, priorities, boundaries, and maybe common sense. And for some people, that's where they're most comfortable pushing back. Because they'll say things like, yeah, but that sounds harsh. Or, yeah, but the world is complicated. Or, yeah, but that feels too rigid. Okay, fair enough. So let's take ideology off the table for a minute. Because whether you like the phrase America First or not, there's one thing nobody gets to escape: the math. Math doesn't care about narratives. It doesn't care about good intentions. And it sure as shit doesn't care about how compassionate something sounds. It doesn't. The numbers always settle the argument. And here's the part that should sober everybody up. For decades now, we haven't been living under an America First model. We've been living under something else entirely. I'll call it America Last, a system where American taxpayers subsidize everyone else. American workers always absorb the losses. American veterans get thanked but forgotten. American families get squeezed and their dreams put on hold while we clean up the rest of the fucking world. And American debt explodes. And the scary part, most people, they have no idea how bad the numbers actually are, or how directly those numbers connect to their own lives. So we're going to do something different. No slogans, no philosophy, no rants, just the receipts. The real costs of foreign wars, open borders, outsourcing, energy dependence, and putting America last year after year after year. Because at the end of the day, this isn't just about values. It's about sustainability. You start to realize something very uncomfortable. Just like JFK said, we can't afford not to put America first anymore. All right, let's take a quick breather. And when we come back, we're going to open the books. We're going to walk through the numbers. We're going to walk through the numbers that Washington keeps hoping that you never look at. We'll be right back. Hey, everyone. I just wanted to take a minute and talk to you about something practical and intentional. Everything you see associated with What If Unfiltered, the colors, the designs, the phrases, none of it's random. This isn't merch for the sake of merch. This is identity. Our colors are inspired by our Marine Corps dress blue uniform. So understand this. You're not buying a shirt, a hat, or a hoodie. You're wearing a statement. A statement that says, faith still matters. Family still matters. This country is worth defending. It's not loud. It's not trendy. It's deliberate. We call it body armor because that's exactly what it is. Something you wear when you're willing to stand for something, even when it's uncomfortable. If you believe in the mission, see the merchandise at whatifunfiltered.com. And remember, shipping is always 100% free, and 5% of all clothing purchases will be donated to faith and veteran organizations because it's the American way. Let's get unfiltered. All right, we're back. Now that we've defined what America First really is, let's walk into the part Washington always avoids, the actual math. Because once you see the numbers, America First goes from an interesting idea to, holy hell, this is the only adult option left. Let's hit the core truth first. America's not in trouble because Americans failed. Nope, no. Don't try to blame us. America's in trouble because the people running the show spent 40 years putting everyone else first. And the bill finally came due. Let's break all this down. Our debt is a ticking time clock that nobody wants to talk about. Our national debt is now over $38 trillion. That number is so big, the brain can't process it. But here's the real danger. Interest on the debt is now higher than the entire Department of Defense budget. It's higher than Medicaid, higher than many federal programs combined. It's the silent bill that no one wants to talk about, and it's killing us. We are paying interest on past stupidity with money we don't have, because no one in Washington can say the word no when it comes to spending with our fucking checkbook. Our government spends money like a teenager with their parents' credit card and no spending limit. But here's the difference. When a teenager blows through cash, the parents step in. But when the government blows through cash, your children pay for it. The truth is simple. America First is the only doctrine with the discipline to attack the debt before the interest swallows the entire country whole. But there's a group of Americans and a lot of politicians who genuinely believe we can just print more money. You know, just hit Control P and boom, the problem's solved. If that were true, Zimbabwe would be a global superpower, Argentina would run the world economy, and we wouldn't be running Venezuela if everything was so perfect. The reality is, printing money destroys nations. Inflation isn't a conspiracy theory, it's simple math. When you print more dollars without increase in productivity, prices rise and the value of the dollar decreases. And when prices rise faster than wages, the middle class collapses. It's not complicated. It's definitely not partisan. It's not theoretical. It's the same reason your grandparents yelled, "Don't put it on the credit card." They understood economics better than Congress does. Let's take a deep dive into the just cut more checks fantasy and the damage that it actually causes, because this is something that gets people fired up on both sides of the aisle. This new American religion called just print more money. I swear, somewhere along the way, half of this country became convinced that the U.S. Treasury is Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. Just hit the button, shoot out another golden ticket, and everything's fine. But here's the truth that the government doesn't want you to understand. Whenever Washington just prints more money, they're not creating wealth. They're destroying yours. Printing money is silent theft. It's the government stealing purchasing power from working Americans to cover their irresponsible spending. I want to know, when are we going to wake the fuck up and come to the realization that we're divided because they need us divided, and not because we differ greatly in policy? Many of the so-called Trump policies that are attacked with violence, they were once championed by Democrats. Here, check out this clip from the past regarding immigration.
But in every place in this country are rightly disturbed by the large numbers of illegal aliens entering our country. The jobs they hold might otherwise be held by citizens or legal immigrants. The public service they use impose burdens on our taxpayers. That's why our administration has moved aggressively to secure our borders more, by hiring a record number of new border guards, by deporting twice as many criminal aliens as ever before, by cracking down on illegal hiring, by barring welfare benefits to illegal aliens. In the budget I will present to you, we will try to do more to speed the deportation of illegal aliens who are arrested for crimes, to better identify illegal aliens in the workplace as recommended by the commission headed by former Congresswoman Barbara Jordan. We are a nation of immigrants, but we are also a nation of laws. It is wrong and ultimately self-defeating for a nation of immigrants to permit the kind of abuse of our immigration laws we have seen in recent years, and we must do more to stop it.
See, TDS, Trump derangement syndrome, isn't due to the orange man. It's due to the poisonous false narratives being fed through the media to divide us. You don't believe me? Well, I can show you video after video after video from Nancy, Obama, Biden, Schumer, all championing the same exact policies that are now racist, fascist, cruel, evil, humane, inhumane, and demonic. You name it, they backed it. They truly believe we're idiots, too stupid to understand. But the great thing about videos, we have the receipts. We just need America to wake up and look at them. Then ask aloud, why are you doing this to us? Why do you want us divided? The answer is so simple. Dependency is political profit. It buys votes. It buys congressional seats. It buys them continued power. Why the hell else do you think these ancient dinosaurs keep working until they die in office? To serve the American people? Give me a fucking break. Let's walk through real world consequences of just printing money in plain English. Simply put, printing money equals inflation every single time. Inflation doesn't just come out of nowhere. It comes from one thing: too many dollars chasing too few goods. Example, or AKA supply and demand. When the government prints money, the dollar loses value. Prices rise, company increase costs, wages can't keep up, savings gets wiped out, and the middle class gets squeezed. Inflation's not by accident. It's not supply chain disruption. It's Washington creating too much money from thin air. Every printed dollar makes the dollars in your pocket worth less. That's theft. Quiet theft, but nonetheless, theft. Printing money is a tax without telling you it's a tax. Politicians love printing money because it lets them avoid accountability. You see, they don't have to vote for tax increases. They don't have to justify the spending. They just have to explain where the money comes from. They just print it, then blame inflation on greedy corporations, or get the country to blame the other side for poor policy. In reality, inflation is the most regressive tax in America. And who pays the prices? Working families, seniors on fixed incomes, people living paycheck to paycheck, anyone holding cash savings, and every American who isn't wealthy. And who doesn't pay the tax, you ask? Well, that would be politicians, banks, mega corporations, the connected class, and people with assets that go up in inflation. It's a scam. And most Americans don't even know they're being robbed. Printing money destroys the dollar in the long term. Our currency is strong because the world trusts it. But trust is fragile. When you print money like confetti, take on insane levels of debt, inflate the money supply by trillions, and pretend nothing's wrong, you weaken the dollar. You weaken purchasing power. You weaken your global leverage. And eventually, the world finds alternatives. That's when a superpower collapses. It's not typically from war or invasion. It's really from economic stupidity. Every time you hear a politician wanting to send checks to Americans, it's not compassion. It's not love of country. It's for dependency. They're trying to buy you. We're sending checks to Americans when we're $38 trillion in debt. Why? Because dependency is political profit. Printing money creates artificial good times and real long-term pain. When Washington prints money, you get fake prosperity. You get stimulus checks, short-term spending boost, inflated stock and housing prices, temporary job bumps, and an economy that looks good on paper. But then reality sets in. Prices climb, debt grows, interest payments explode, wages stagnate, savings evaporate, purchasing power plummets, recession follows, and the American worker ends up worse off. Printing money is political fentanyl. Feels good at first, kills you in the long run. And printing money for free stuff is how empires die. Every empire collapses the exact same way. They overspend, they debase their currency, they print money, inflation skyrockets, the middle class suffers, the government loses credibility, and economic chaos follows. Rome did it, Germany did it, shit, Argentina does it every decade. Printing money isn't innovation. It's ancient failure with a modern PR team. And cutting checks without value creation, that only makes people poorer, not richer. You can't create wealth by printing money, handing out checks, canceling debt, or giving everyone relief. You only create wealth by producing goods, innovating, competing, building, manufacturing, exporting, and creating value that other nations want. America First isn't anti-help, it's anti-stupidity. It says, if we're going to help Americans, let's do it responsibly through job creation, strong families, strong wages, manufacturing, energy dominance, and real economic growth. Cutting checks feels good in the moment, but it destroys countries in the end. And America First requires real budgets, real responsibility, real accountability, spending only what we have, investing in our people, not foreign nations, rebuilding industry instead of inflating bubbles, protecting purchasing power, and strengthening the dollar instead of diluting it. And you know what? That terrifies Washington because in the end, it takes care of and ends their slush funds, their foreign aid giveaways, their pet programs, their pay-for-play cycles, and their ability to bribe voters with borrowed money. Printing money is how they keep power. America First is how we take it back. And here's the part that blows people's minds when they see the numbers. While America is drowning in debt, we give Ukraine hundreds of billions of dollars. We give Israel billions, and their citizens have free health care. NATO is funded by us primarily. The UN, mostly funded by us. IMF contributions, mostly by us. The World Bank, once again, mostly by us. And dozens of foreign governments and countries who hate us, still us. Meanwhile, veterans sleep under bridges. Homelessness explodes. Schools crumble. We can't afford groceries. Small towns collapse. Infrastructure falls apart. And cities look like disaster zones where the borders were once wide open. How does this make any sense? It doesn't, unless you understand this. America First threatens a global money machine that funnels our American wealth into foreign nations and global institutions. And that's the real reason they attack it. Not because it's extreme, because it ends the fucking gravy train. Let's talk about foreign aid for a minute, because for decades, Americans have been told, if we're rich, we should give. It's the moral thing. Fine. I mean, I used to believe that. But when you actually see what they're doing with the money, you start asking the hard questions. Take 2025, for example. The U.S. government, through the agency USAID, was audited by the new Doge. And what they found isn't charity. According to Senator John Kennedy, he referred to it as spending porn. Let's watch what he had to say.
Mr. Musk, and he's a mean guy, and he shouldn't be looking at our spending. Well, he is. And I kind of find what he's found out interesting. He found that we gave $2 million, USAID did, for sex changes in Guatemala. He found that we gave $20 million to produce a new Sesame Street show in Iraq. He found that we gave $4.5 million of taxpayer money to combat disinformation in Kazakhstan. He found that we gave $10 million, USAID did, of meals to an al-Qaeda-linked terrorist group called the Nusra Front. Mr. Musk found that we gave $7.9 million of taxpayer money to a project that would teach Sri Lankan journalists to avoid binary gendered language.
And this isn't pocket change. The current administration tried to rescind $9.4 billion in what they called wasteful foreign aid and public broadcast spending. That's right, nearly $10 billion of the most controversial foreign aid spending was up for cancellation, and half our politicians fought to save it. How the hell did any of those programs benefit Americans? Is that what we're busting our asses for each and every working day? And USAID spends $40 to $60 billion every single year. Meanwhile, back here at home, inflation is crushing families. Veteran homelessness rising. The grid is failing, and cities are choking on crime and neglect and protests. And we're still funding DEI in Ireland. Are we serious? That's not generosity. That's negligence. It's beyond time that we ask, why are our tax dollars being funneled overseas to questionable causes with no accountability? And all the while, Americans suffer here. We act as if we have no fucking problems to fix. It's time to stop spreading ourselves thin globally and start putting America first. Real people, real families, real American problems. Let's take a look at fair trade, which is the spine of America first. Let me say this in the most honest way possible. America First hasn't had a fair trade deal in like 40 years. We've had trade deals that help China, help Mexico, help Vietnam, help Canada, help multinational corporations, help Wall Street, help CEOs, help foreign governments, help supply chains overseas, but it did not help, you got it, American workers, American factories, American wages, American small towns, American families, and it didn't help national security. We signed deal after deal where other countries got low tariffs, cheap access to our markets, the ability to dump products on us, the ability to manipulate currency, the ability to export labor, to steal intellectual property, and the ability to undercut the American industry. And America got factory closures, job losses, drug addiction, poverty, outsourcing, trade deficits, and bankrupt towns. And it didn't happen by accident. It was a business decision, just not for our business. So let me give you some straight, quick talk numbers. China takes in $500 billion in exports to America every year. America takes in trillions in imports and exports far less, upside down, which causes a U.S. trade deficit to be roughly around $1.1 trillion annually. Manufacturing towns are devastated. Supply chains are controlled by foreign nations. American small businesses are undercut. American workers left behind. For decades, Washington told us this is free trade. This is global cooperation. This is the future. No, it was global outsourcing, and America was the sucker at the poker table. I'll give you a prime example of one of the most unfair trade deals ever, TPP. For decades, Americans signed deals that enrich foreign nations and multinational corporations while hollowing out our own middle class. We opened our markets while other countries protected theirs, manipulated their currencies, subsidized their industries, and undercut American workers with cheap labor and zero environmental standards. And one of the clearest examples of this failure was the Trans-Pacific Partnership. TPP was driven almost entirely by the Obama administration, which saw it as the centerpiece of their pivot to Asia initiatives. But in reality, it became another globalist trade agreement built on the same logic that gutted American manufacturing. You see, TPP empowered multinational corporations and made it easier to offshore U.S. jobs, tied America to weaker economies, restricted our ability to protect American workers, and strengthened the very supply chains dominated by China, even though China wasn't even in the deal. Labor unions, America First conservatives, and major chunks of the Democratic base all opposed it because it put global interests ahead of American sovereignty and American workers. The truth is simple. Free trade as executed in the last 40 years has never been free for America. It was freedom for corporations to leave America behind. That's why America First, we don't oppose trade. We oppose bad deals that weaken our country. So what is fair trade? Not free trade, not global trade, not everybody wins trade. Fair trade is simple. You treat us how we treat you, or we walk. You cheat, we tariff. You restrict, we restrict. You dump, we block. You steal, we sanction. You take advantage of us, the game ends. Fair trade is not isolation. Fair trade is accountability. It's the trade version of don't start none, won't be none. You may be asking, how does fair trade help Americans? Okay, so jobs come home, wages go up, factories reopen, middle class wealth returns, supply chains move back to U.S. soil, dependence on China shrinks. The American worker becomes competitive again, and towns that were left behind start to rise again. Our national security skyrockets. Fair trade is not anti-world. Fair trade is pro-America. And honestly, it's not fair if it's not a partnership. It's exploitation. America First puts an end to that. We also believe in strength through peace. People need to hear this. People think America First means America alone. It doesn't mean America alone. It means we stop fighting endless wars for countries that won't even clap for us at the UN. But we do stay strong. We do stay prepared. We do defend real allies. We do deter enemies. We do maintain our military dominance because peace through strength is how the world works. Weak America equals global chaos. Strong America equals global stability. America First doesn't weaken us, it strengthens us so that we don't have to fight. But here's the ugly truth. Right now, enemy nations could shut down large parts of America without ever firing a single shot. And why? How did that happen? Because we depend on them for everything. That is national suicide. America First says, build it here, make it here, mine it here, manufacture it here, secure it here. Not because we hate the world, but because we can't lead the world if we're dependent upon it. But This is the part most economists miss. A strong nation requires strong families, strong values, strong communities, a shared identity, shared responsibility, and shared purpose. And without that, the economy collapses, no matter how many spreadsheets we print. Faith gives us identity. Family gives us stability. Responsibility gives us strength. America First isn't just policy, it's cultural reinforcement. A nation with strong families can weather storms. A nation without them crumbles from within. So let's bring this home. Everything we've talked about, the economics, the trade, the military, the sovereignty, the culture, it all points to one truth. America First doesn't divide America. It reunites America. Because America First says your job matters, your family matters, your community matters, your safety matters, your taxes matter, your kids matter, your future matters, you matter. And that's why the establishment hates it. Because the moment Americans realize they deserve better, they demand better. And nothing threatens Washington more than an awakened citizen. But here's the heart of it. America First is not extreme, it's not partisan, and it's not dangerous. It is the only path that rebuilds this country from the inside out. We can't fix America by putting Americans last. We can't secure our future by bankrupting our present. We can't lead the world by collapsing at home. This movement, our movement, isn't built on anger or division. It's built on faith, family, responsibility, accountability, truth, courage, love of country. And that means something. So here's what I need from you. Share this episode. Wear the mission. Follow the show. Subscribe and join the movement. Stand with us. Because if we don't fight for this country, no one will. Until next time, let's get unfiltered.
These conversations don't end when the episode does. They carry forward into how we think, how we speak, and how we engage the world around us. Here, we don't demand agreement. We ask for honesty. We don't chase outrage. We pursue clarity. Because better questions shape better conversations, and better conversations shape better outcomes for our families, our communities, and our country. If this episode sharpened your thinking, share it, continue the conversation, and let's get unfiltered. Until next time, this is What If Unfiltered, where conviction is rooted in faith, guided by tradition, and focused on the future.